If you've ever wondered what it's like to live with type 1 diabetes as someone who is a parent, is trying to stay healthy, take care of others, and really just have a life in general, well, this video is for you. So let's dive in. So what even is type 1 diabetes? Well, type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune condition where your body mistakenly attacks your pancreas. And unfortunately, your pancreas stops working. And why is that a problem? Well, your pancreas produces insulin, which helps manage your blood sugar. And unfortunately, if your pancreas doesn't work, that means there's nothing controlling your blood sugar in your body. So you can go super, super high. There's no ceiling marker to control your blood sugar. And so with type 1 diabetes, you are constantly managing your blood sugar from going high, from going low, because we have to manually take insulin, and it can be quite a bit. And you can really be diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at any age. I was diagnosed at the age of 29 back in 2021 after having COVID. Now, I'm not 100% sure that COVID is what caused my pancreas to die, but I am pretty positive that is why, as many others that I know that have type 1 diabetes had a pretty serious illness prior to being diagnosed. And getting a type 1 diabetes diagnosis is not a fun one. It's a huge life change, and the first year of being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes is quite a challenge. You're basically learning a whole new lifestyle. I mean, honestly, people go through the levels of loss and death, and we have that moment of grief, and we have all of those moments that someone experiences if they lose somebody that they love. And it's something that mattered to us, right? We didn't know at the time that our pancreas mattered, but when you lose it, you're like, holy moly, this is such an important organ in our body. And I had no idea. And so the first year of living with type 1 diabetes can be super overwhelming. And so I want to share with you what it's really like to live with type 1 diabetes. And here's the thing. I'm a mom, a new mom. My daughter actually just turned 1 year old, which is so amazing. The year flew by, which is really sad. I mean, it's already going so fast. But the thing is, I'm not only managing my diabetes for myself now, I'm also managing it for my daughter. I have to make sure that my diabetes is perfect at all times. Take that with a grain of salt. I try to make it perfect at all times because I need to care for my daughter. I can't be really, really high, and I can't be really, really low, because then I can't best take care of my daughter. There have been many times when I've maybe taken too much insulin and my blood sugar goes low and I'm sitting at 55 and I physically cannot take care of my daughter, or I don't feel safe enough to take care of my daughter. And thankfully, like, my husband works from home and he's around a lot of the time. And so I'll just call him, I'll shout his name and be like, you need to come help me because my blood sugar is really low and I don't feel safe holding Lucy, who is our daughter. And so he'll come and help. But these are the moments where I'm like, Samantha, take care of yourself. What are you doing? Like, you should have better counted your carbs for that meal, or I don't know, whatever. You should have taken, I get mad at myself sometimes because I'm like, your main job is to take care of your daughter. And when your blood sugar's all over the place, it's really, really hard. So that is one thing I think that, society doesn't really understand. Or if maybe you're somebody that lives with type 1 and you don't have any kids, you may not understand that part of, like, yes, taking care of ourselves is hard enough as it is, but then when I'm like trying to manage a child also, sometimes I forget to take insulin, or I forget to eat sugar, and then my blood sugar keeps going down, and then all of this happens. So it's really important for me to stay healthy so I can best take care of my daughter. And then there's things like today. So my husband, my daughter, my dog, and I all went on a hike. I live in Colorado, and so we drove 20 minutes to a mountain and did a little hike. Our goal was to do at least 3 miles, but of course, naturally, my blood sugar dropped after literally 10 minutes of hiking. When you're hiking, you are going up hills and it is an exercise. And so I did eat food earlier on that day, so there was insulin on board, and naturally my blood sugar dropped. However, I didn't really think about it. I wasn't even thinking about my blood sugar. And so when it dropped, I was like, oh no, like, now we just sit here and wait, because it did go down to like 50, which was pretty scary. But thankfully we weren't like far from the car or anything. And thankfully I had sugar on me. I had gummy bears, I had a packet of gummy bears, and I also had an Elevate packet. And so I was prepared, and I ate the gummy bears. but it took a lot longer than I would have expected for my blood sugar to come up. So we had to sit there for literally like 20 minutes. And thankfully, it was a beautiful day in Colorado. My daughter was just playing in the dirt and trying to crawl on the rocks. And my husband was just watching her, and my dog was just hanging. And so thankfully, everything was fine. But these are moments too that I think, people who don't live with type 1 diabetes don't understand. They don't understand that, like, when you go on a hike, first off, you have to prepare. You have to bring all the sugar with you and everything with you, right? You can't just go on the hike. It doesn't work like that. You have to really think about it. Like, what do I need? How long am I going to be on for? Like, do I have cell service just in case something happens? Will my Bluetooth, continue to work so I can read my blood sugar numbers on my CGM and all those things? And so I've been on hikes before where my blood sugar drops and I'm with a group of people, and that's not fun, because you say like, hey guys, I need to stop for a few minutes until my blood sugar comes up, and people just don't really understand. They're like, okay. And most of the time people are nice, but I think the part that is the hardest for people to understand is that we have to wait a decent amount of time. So like, we'll sit down, wait 3 minutes, and then people are like, all right, you good? Like, ready to go? And I'm like, no. I have to wait like a good 15 more minutes until my blood sugar comes up. And I get like anxious because I don't want to be the reason people are not hiking. And so I'm like, oh my God, then I'm getting anxiety and I'm stressed because my blood sugar's low. And I'm like, why does this happen to me? And the whole spiral effect of that whole situation. And so that is what it's like to live with type 1 diabetes. Is you just have to really go with the flow and best take care of yourself as much as possible while still living your life. And then when it comes to eating, wow, that is quite the switch from before being diagnosed. So when I always say a normal person, you're all normal, trust me, but I always use that like as my old self when I was normal. When I had a working pancreas, I didn't think about food ever. I would just eat my meals and go on with the day. And I think that's another really hard part for people to grasp, is that I have to think about what I'm eating like all day long. Like before I eat it, while I'm eating it, and then afterwards. I'm thinking about that meal for several hours. And then I have to worry about the next meal, and then the next meal, and then overnight. And it's literally never ending. And people don't understand that. And so when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, what am I gonna have for breakfast? Do I need to exercise first? So let's throw that into the mix. You really have to plan out your day, right? And so I actually work out a lot in the morning so I don't have insulin on board. I do this on purpose. Well, one, I just really like working out in the morning, so that helps. But two, it's like I can't work out later in the day because my blood sugar is gonna drop. Hence the hike I just told you about, okay? Because I already had insulin on board when I did that hike. But when you're planning out your day, you have to think about these things, where normal, quote unquote, people who have working pancreases don't even think about. They literally just go on with their day and whatever. And, it's kind of annoying because you're like, whoa, no, like I have to actually think about this. And then, okay, so you exercise. I try to exercise every morning, but then you go to your breakfast and you're like, okay, I have to take insulin for whatever meal I'm eating. And depending on the meal, like, what are you going to eat? Like this morning, my husband was really kind and got me a bagel, an egg. It was an egg, cheese, and bacon bagel. And I was like, okay, I had to think think about this. Like, what do I need to take? How much insulin do I need to take? Probably more than typical, because bagels do have a lot of carbs. And so you have to take more. Bagels also will spike you later. And so you have to think, okay, how much do I take? But I can't take too much because maybe it won't hit me now. Maybe it'll hit me later. So I'll take some up front, but then I have to be prepared to take some later. This is literally what we go through every day. Every morning, every lunch, every dinner, every snack, overnight. We think about this stuff all day long. So really, what do I wish that people knew? Well, I wish that people knew how hard it actually is. There's a lot of judgment amongst diabetics, and we get thrown into that, unfortunately. So I wish people just understood type 1 diabetes more in general. If they even knew the definition, if they even understood that, I think that would be a step in the right direction. And then I would like them to know how much of my mind is consumed by my type 1 diabetes. Literally all day long, I'm thinking about diabetes. And I know you guys are too. If you have diabetes, I know you're constantly thinking about it. And so I feel you, it's a pain in the butt. And I really wish that non-diabetics would understand that I really have to plan out my day, and I'm really thinking about this meal, and I'm really thinking about the meal that I'm going to have next, and I'm really thinking about the exercise that I am going to do later, or I'm really thinking about, what I have to do with my daughter later because I want to make sure that I'm ready for her and I don't take too much insulin and blah, 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 right? Like I really, really wish they knew how hard it was. Because even the people who, maybe have an idea of what it's like to live with type 1 diabetes, they still don't really know. Like they think, oh, you just have to count your carbs, right? Like, all right, that's easy. Like, this pasta meal has 50 carbs. You just take 10 units of insulin and you're done. No. It does not work that way. It does not work that way. We have to think a lot further than that. It's not just carb counting. It's what type of carb is it, right? Pasta is going to hit you later than like an apple would. So we have to take that into account. Like, okay, we can't just take those 10 units up front because I would drop. And so I would maybe take 5 up front and then maybe 5 later. But when you take the 5 later, do you take it an hour later? Do you take it 2 hours later? Do you take it 3 hours later? When do you do that? Do you do, a split bolus? Do you do an extended bolus? Or what do you do? Do you take more, if you know you're going to eat pasta, do you take like more of your longer lasting? Because I'm on MDI, do I take more of that? Or what? And that is the type of things that I wish people knew, that it's not that easy. It's not that easy. I think a lot of people that I'm friends with think that like it's pretty simple to stay in range. And I'm like, it's not simple. There's no ceiling and there's no floor. Okay. No ceiling and no floor. So when our blood sugar goes up, it will keep going up. There's nothing there to stop it. And when it goes down, there's nothing there to stop it. And guess what? Both of those scenarios can be super, super dangerous. And so the other thing that I wish people knew is that negative effects, if we don't take care of our blood sugar, what can happen? I mean, there's a lot of serious things that can happen. Like we can lose our eyesight. We start to lose weight because our body eats itself. Literally, it's like eating itself. And we might lose a limb if we don't take care of our blood sugar because the blood pressures and all these things. And then worst of all, we could die. And people, I think, when we say that, they're like, oh, that's extreme. But I'm like, no. There's been several cases of type 1 diabetics dying actually from being too high and being too low. And so it's a real thing that we have to be careful of. And yes, thankfully we have technology these days that can help with things like that, but it doesn't prevent it. It just helps. And so in the middle of the night, if I drop low, thankfully my Dexcom is beeping at me. Thankfully, because if not, I have to rely on the body feeling of me just waking up. Otherwise I would die. And people do not understand that. And I wish they did. So if you are living with type 1 diabetes, you are not alone. I'm here, I'm living it right there with you. There's a whole community online that are living it with you. If you're not on Instagram specifically, you need to be on it because there's a whole group of diabetics on there that share their stories, that share their lows and their highs, literally. And they're there to support you. We're all there to support each other in this journey. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching these videos. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for following me on Instagram. I love you all. You are absolutely amazing. Thank you for being a part of my community. You are all so great. I wouldn't be here without any of you. And you have made my diabetes journey so much better. So thank you. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.